पाकिस्तान हमारी जान, हमारी जान, हमारी जान। पाकिस्तान हमारी जान, हमारी जान, हमारी जान। सबसे पहले पाकिस्तान, सबसे पहले पाकिस्तान। पाकिस्तान हमारी जान, हमारी जान, हमारी जान। है जवान जीत है तेरा निशान। है जवान मंजिल है आसमां। है जवान जोश तेरी पहचान। है जवान है तू ही पाकिस्तान। जब तक है जामे जान तू जोश को रख जवान। है जवान वैसी ज़मीन और आसमां इनके सिवा जाना कहाँ। बड़े पाकिस्तान हमारी जान, हमारी जान।
I wish to be very brief. I want to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Government of Japan for arranging such a wonderful opportunity. It is a dream for any embassy in the world to receive their own nationals and in such large numbers. So therefore, any amount of gratitude that I would express, Vizu Sawa-san, to express our thank and gratitude to the government of Japan. And Vizu Sawa-san is not just the officer of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, he's also half Pakistan. Once again, thank you very much. और ये बहुत अच्छी और नफीस उर्दू भी बोलते हैं और शेर व शायरी भी करते हैं। And after that, I would also like to formally welcome each and every one of you to the Embassy of Pakistan. We did not have sufficient time to show you around, but I'm very happy that in the limited time that we had, I was able to show you around and give you a sense of what this embassy is all about and what is its origin and history and what we are doing with it here in Tokyo. We have not been given the opportunity to extend our stay here beyond 1 hour.
University of Tokyo, and I am in civil engineering master's program.
I'm Mohammad Irfan, and basically I'm from UET Lahore, in Pakistan, and I'm actually teaching here as well over there, and now I'm doing my PhD in civil engineering, and just to tell you, I just completed my PhD today.
I'm also from UET Lahore, and I'm doing my doctoral or PhD from the University in Civil Engineering.
अस्सलामुअलैकुम, मेरा नाम मोहम्मद जुबैर है और मैं 25 साल से जापान में हूँ। बेसिकली मैं फोटो वीडियो जर्नलिस्ट हूँ और मोस्टली जैसे मीडिया का काम करता हूँ। इसके अलावा ईरान की यूनिवर्सिटी है दायको डिजिटल यूनिवर्सिटी, वहाँ पर मैं उर्दू भी पढ़ाता हूँ। इसके अलावा एक और यूनिवर्सिटी में फोटोग्राफी भी पढ़ाता हूँ। पाकिस्तान, कश्मीर, अफगानिस्तान की राष्ट्रीय रीति में मैं कितने भी और रीजन तकरीबन ऑलमोस्ट कवर कर चुका हूँ, 500 जाता रहता हूँ।
She is the Economic Minister, Madam Heather. We have an Air Force fighter pilot. I think every boy in Pakistan is used to having 23rd March parades, and F-16s came to Pakistan. Each and every one of us wanted to become fighter pilot, but few were lucky. And this is our defense attaché, who is our we have a very Executive Officer who is responsible for conducting business and trade between Pakistan and Japan. Madam is responsible for the economic coordination and economic cooperation. Economy is a very, very wide subject. The Commercial Council is responsible for promoting our trade. So he's also working on a very important trade group which is going to be here on the 21st. So that is our Commercial Council. Then we have your co-host with you today. Without whose help this program could not have been arranged. And this is my friend, my colleague, we did a course together, Dr. Subro. He is in charge of press and information and media. Our other colleague who is sitting on the last of the seated row, this is Mr. Nabin Bhatti. He is in charge of solving your problems when you are living in Japan as a Pakistani national. So now I would like to open the floor. और अपने आप को जरा तारुफ करवा दीजिए स्टूडेंट से.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Mahdi Balu and I'm associate here Institute of Business. Sorry, I'm quite off. So anyway, my name is Mahdi Balu and my associate is Institute of Business. It's basically a Japanese business think tank. I'm a faculty member of this business think tank. And my specialization is international management, cross-cultural management, or transport technology. Another, I'm PSAG member, PSA veteran.
Pakistan Student Association Japan. So he is the patron chief. Now, before we begin, how many? So I can imagine the remaining are art students, right? Okay, a lot for you. And I know Japan is a wonderful country. And personally, I like sushi very much. I don't know how was your experience with sushi so far. Did you eat sushi? No. Your parents told you not to touch it? So, do not have the time. So this is very bad. The foreign ministry is here. I think they need some time, sir. The students have to eat sushi before you leave, okay? It's the best food in the world. I ate it first in 1997 in Argentina, so do not hesitate. Now I'm going to start the interactive action, and I think we have clear 25 to 30 minutes. When we are done, I'm going to take a picture with all of you and all of our colleagues, which is a group photo. We'll stand here, and after that, we'll have tea together and gupshup over the tea. So now, so anybody who would like to ask a question?
I'm Mohammed Khalid, and my question is for the studying in Japan. What is that one thing you have learned from Japanese that you would like us to know? That one quality.
Well, I think there are lots and lots of good things to be learned over here. But I think if there is one thing I would say, that's punctuality. And you would have realized this thing in English. So I think.
And when we were meeting, he told us, we were talking about holding Olympics in Japan. So the governor of Tokyo told us that an amount of $25 million is returned by anybody who finds them in cash every year in Tokyo City. And it is not heard of in countries like the United States, for example, where you will lose a thing and then in the evening you can go to a police station nearby and it will be returned to you. So Tokyo also has one of the most highest possible ethical and moral standards in the world. And timing, punctuality is only one part of that overall moral standard. So it is a real privilege to be here, and I thought I'll mention it to you. The $25 million cash returned to their owners every year. All right? So please enjoy that. Any question?
to you yourself, sir.
Sure.
If a person like you wishes to become an ambassador of Pakistan, what must they do, what subjects should they take, and where should they apply, how does one get started?
You have to appear in the civil service exam, and the only requirement to appear in the exam is that you should be graduate. It does not matter what you studied. If you have a graduate degree, there are a list of subjects which you can pick up. Science students have an edge, especially those who studied mathematics and are very good at mathematics, because it all adds up, and then the total number of marks that you are going to obtain in your competitive exam is going to determine your position in Pakistan. We had a friend visiting us 2 weeks ago. He is appearing on TV and was also a civil servant, and he was telling us that only 2% of the total number of people which appeared in the written test were able to pass the exam. So that was not a very good news to hear, but still, it is an open exam, and it is for all boys and girls to appear. And then there are certain quotas that we have been able to create for those parts of the country where education could not be given the same amount of attention that they deserve. So those students, for example, from Balochistan or the interior of Sindh, they have been provided with a slight amount of encouragement to participate, so that the civil service is not dominated by one specific group or region or area. And therefore, it is basically, my friends also tell me that it is quite, depends on the luck as well.
That is, just contact the PSA, the Pakistan Student on the website, and you can get that information.
What is the website for PSAJ?
PSAJ, Pakistan Student Association.com. PSAJ is the website.
.com.
Yeah, .com.
.com. Okay.
Just hold the other call to find the contact person and send the email.
Sure, please. Backbenchers are very impressive today. Thank you very much.
Alpha Captain from Balochistan. Right? My question is that from all these guys living over here, studying or whatever, I mean the students, rather than the academic qualification, who are teaching English language in Balochistan place over there, if they want to come here or teach that English, basically an international language over here in Japan, is there any opportunity for them to get the chance or have for the Japanese government to teach over there from themselves, or if they are totally allowed and got permission from their parents or family side to live over here to teach them, quite interested. So is there opportunity, or is it possible or not?
The Prime Minister of Japan has launched a very aggressive scheme. English in Japanese schools is being taught from 6th grade up. Now the Prime Minister feels that Japanese must learn English from grade 1. Now you can imagine it's a very large country as far as the population is concerned. Area is small, but there is a lot of big population here. That means there are a lot of schools. Now to fill up the positions of English teachers from grade 1 to grade 5, which will become empty once they are announced, no matter how many number of teachers that are going to bring from the United States or from thank you. Now, next question please. Yes, please. Sure.
तो हमें यकीन है कि वो ये प्रोग्राम जैसे सिफर जापान की तारीख रिवायत खबर सीखने के लिए आपको पाए तो हमें यकीन है कि आप लोग से अच्छा होगा तो आपका क्या वजारत था। उस वक्त मैं अक्सर पाकिस्तानी आविष्कार सीखता तो मोस्टली वो उसका पार्लर तो वो
आपको पता है शोभा शख्सियत क्या होती है? पॉलिटिक्स नहीं, उसको सियासत है, पॉलिटिकल साइंस है। उर्दू जो है बड़ी मुश्किल है और मैट्रिक के इम्तिहान में जो है पता लगता है कि कितना बनाती है। सबसे मुश्किल उर्दू है। बहुत शुक्रिया। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन। माशाल्लाह कोयटा से कितने लोग हैं? 8 हैं। डॉक्टर सोमो साहब हैं, he is an expert on Koita. He's lived here for almost 11 years? 15 years. तो ये कोयटा के एक्सपर्ट हैं। तो सोच समझ के बात करेंगे, ये ना हो कि वहाँ में आप चिकन ला रहे हो और डॉक्टर साहब बात करेंगे। हाँ बताइए, सवाल करें।
My question is related to finance. What are the Japan's future plans of investment in Pakistan, especially in energy?
Okay. Shazad?
You wanted to find out about specifically about the energies. You know the loan that basically investment that comes, the loan, ODA loan, which is official assistance loan. It comes from JICA. That's a governmental institution in Japan. And then as far as investment is concerned in the energy sector, we are working with the big corporations and the investors in Japan to come forward and invest in the energy sector. JICA is also working on one project which is related to the energy sector. So at the moment we are working, looking at the gasification plants, we've been visiting those, and coal-fired plants, keeping in view the third, the third element coal. So at the moment the investment in energy sector is very much forthcoming, and you will know as it comes in.
As the trade is concerned, because investment and trade go side by side with each other, so that's the reason why we are just. As far as the trade and investment we have just talked about, they are going side by side with each other. In the field of investment, either trade is going first or investment is going first. So as far as trade growth is concerned, Pakistan's exports to Japan are increasing for the last 2 to 3 years. Now they are on a growing trend. Similarly, investments are just going to be in this coming year because few years we have a bad patch of 1 or 2 years. So future is too good. I can't talk about the past, but future is too good. That I can assure you. Safe.
Popular item, sorry, I have the popular items that
The most important thing what is being exported to Japan, traditionally it was drawn in fabrics. Now it has gone to the apparels, and now they are talking of the high-end fashion apparels, both in textiles as well as in leather. The most interesting thing which we are now focusing here is the mango. Now we call it as the mango. Japan is known, wherever you will go to Pakistan, the first question that is in Japan, they will ask you, when Pakistan mango is going to reach Japan. So we are also very anxious on that account. So after the apparel and all that, the new things which are emerging up is the mango. There are 2 other things which are being coming in here traditionally. One is sports goods and the other is the surgical one. And last but not the least is the seafood.
Is from Pakistani media, and some of them are also from Pakistani media nets that are administered by Pakistani national in Japan. So almost everybody who lives in Japan is Pakistani. They are following. So it is of interest that please, when you ask a question, introduce yourself and your school, so that tomorrow somebody can find out that yes, Mr. So from such and such visited and asked a question. So please let's continue with the question.
My name is Nitin Kasi. I'm from Koita, Pakistan. I studied Beacon School in Sicily. I wanted to ask what steps have been taken here in Japan to promote the culture and trade to Pakistan as well?
Thank you very much. It's a very good question. It's an excellent question. All embassies are expected to promote their culture, and this is precisely what we are also doing. We organize a mega event which is called Pakistan-Japan Friendship Festival. It is going to coincide with the date on which Pakistan and Japan established their diplomatic relations, which is the 28th of April 1952. So in a public park, there is going to be a very large event which takes place for 2 days with the participation of musicians from Pakistan, with the participation of Mehndi festival, and there are traditional and classical dances. Qawwali has become very, very popular in Japanese people, and regularly we are receiving qawwals. This year, however, we are thinking of bringing Coke studio artists to Tokyo on 26th and 27th of April. And then there is Pakistani-style barbecue food, which is extremely popular among Japanese people. And our friends will, I think, secondly, we have almost 10 to 12 stalls of food and very long queues of people waiting to take their order. When to, inshallah, bring the Dakar to Tokyo so that we do not sell items, but we place on display Pakistan shawls. We give a lot of bangles, we give a lot of henna, but also the friendship that Pakistan has with Japan. You may or may not be knowing that Pakistan and Japanese people are, they hold these mountains in a very high area. So there is a lot going on. Regarding trade, 14 number trade of February, just after 10 days. And it is going to be a 3-day trade activity. We are expecting our Japanese friends to visit Pakistan to hold the, it is part of the formal discussions between the two countries, out of parts from Japan. So we wish to change that trend, and we wish to improve. They're very expensive. So Japan is a very lucrative market for $2, for $3, for $4, and for $5. Large chonsa mango in Tokyo because of the food price. So we have a vapor heat treatment plant. We are hoping that Mr. Shazad. So if Pakistani mango starts to come in Japan on a commercial, okay, yeah, and then our country will earn a lot of money. Please do not hesitate. Let the girl ask the question. Please introduce yourself. Yeah.
I'm Isa from Deacon House, Charlotte. Okay, you said that if you're applying for undergrad studies and you can enroll in a language course, so what else can students do during that time since they won't be, in a course, right? And how is like the student life and experience with like all those?
The first thing is that what you can do in that 1 year, apart from learning language learning is a full-time job. And believe me, when you spend 1 year, then you realize that probably you still have a long way to go. So because you are going to study everything in Japanese, so you need to have really good level of Japanese for sitting along with Japanese or other international students who have that. So maybe you won't have time to do much. But the second thing is a very important question, that how is the student life there? It's pretty wonderful. To be honest, when I came to Japan, I had some other opportunities as well. But why I came to Japan, why I selected, the main reason was the uniqueness of Japan. Because I knew that if I had gone to, say, US or even any European country, I can get an idea of the overall culture or everything by probably visiting any one European country. And because it's pretty much similar. But since you know probably that since Japan has remained isolated from the rest of the world for a long period of time, so they're very unique and I would say really awesome customs, lots of things. So you have much more to explore over there. And if particularly if you get enrolled in some English language course, you will come across many international students, like in any other university in any other part of the world, and you'll really enjoy that experience. So I think there are lots of opportunities to be explored there.
please tell you one thing. I met my colleague in the embassy of South Korea, and I asked him about the number of students. South Korea and China have a very, very large number of students studying in this country. And I asked him about the number of students. He said, you know, there used to be so many, but now there are so many. So I asked him, what is the reason? He said the reason is that more and more of our students from South Korea are planning and going to China. So I said, this is very strange, why would they do that? He said because somehow our youth feels that China is the next country for doing business in the world. Now, Arabic and Chinese languages, because of what you have seen as the Arab Spring and whatever is going on, in the next 10 years you can imagine if democracy arrives in that region has the potential of becoming the #1 region in the world. So Arabic and Chinese are two languages which many people are already focusing on. Now, each and every one of you is a young student. I will tell you my own personal example. I went to Spain at the age of, I think, 25, all right? I spent a year there. The first 6 months was terrible, I did not learn anything, and the last 6 months of action because I learned everything. So I started speaking Spanish, then I went to Argentina. I had to adapt from Spanish that was spoken in Spain to the Argentinian Spanish, which is the best spoken Spanish in the world. And therefore, I was at that time between 27 and 29 when I was living in Argentina. After that, I went to Morocco, and before Morocco, for my own personal benefit, I started studying French. So I went to Alliance Française in Islamabad, and I enrolled myself in a 3-month course. That helped me because I knew Spanish, and Spanish and French, Italian, Portuguese are the same language, all originating from Latin. I would also like to request all of you to now join us in having the Pakistan Public Team. Before we close this session, I would like to ask, I don't want to be anybody frustrated here. My friend wanted to ask questions, so sir, please, your question, I think, should be the last one.
I'm Mr. Tariq from Mr. College, Karachi, and I have a question to everyone in the front row. Hello?
Yes.
My question to everyone in the front row. What aspect of the other person's culture fascinated you before you started professional career?
Which person's culture?
No, like if you were Pakistani, what part of Japanese culture fascinated you? And if you're Japanese, what part of Pakistani culture fascinated you before you started your career?
Everybody, I think, is going to share the views of the gentleman who stood up and told you why he chose to come to Japan. There is one thing in this society which is humility, and that humility is to the extent that you may be sitting face to face with a multi-billionaire, but you will never guess. If I told you out of 5 people there was a billionaire in front of you, you would not be able to tell. Because Japanese people do not believe in artificial or materialistic things, and they are extremely humble, very, very humble, and they measure their words, they measure their actions, and I think that is why they have never ever lost sight of their culture, regardless irrespective of how advanced this society is. The human values, the interhuman values, the cultural values, the family values, the family system, I think they have held it together. And my personal example, when I was a young student, I came to Japan in 2003, and they took me to Hiroshima, and we went to the bombing site, and what a lovely city they had recreated and reconstructed. So I think it is the willpower of the Japanese people and their ability which makes them very, very respectable and very unique. So I cannot say enough on that part. So I think I'm going to thank my colleagues from the University of Montreal, Kubata-san and Yusha-san. I would also like to thank our friends from Genesis for providing us with this opportunity. And hopefully we will also meet you again. I know we're going to be here for a few days. On behalf of the Embassy of Pakistan, all my colleagues, Mr. Badul, and brilliant students that we have studying in one of the finest universities here. They were very kind, they took their time. They wanted to come in the morning, they came back in the afternoon. They did all this for you. And I have raised with you today the possibility for each and every one of you to learn a different language. Please remember that, and it is going to be perhaps the most useful advice that I would give you, or very limited and brief.